From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Wednesday, March the 21st, 2018. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke over the phone on Monday with incoming U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. The Prime Minister's office said the two discussed the excellent ties between the countries and discussed common challenges and opportunities in the Middle East and the world. And Netanyahu also spoke over the phone yesterday with German Chancellor Angela Merkel and congratulated her on forming a government. The two agreed that discussions held by Israel and Germany, known as the G2G, will convene in Israel in the next few months. These consultations are usually held every year, focusing on cooperation between Israel and Germany in a number of fields, including security, technology, and energy. But last year's G2G was canceled, reportedly over Germany's disagreement with some of Israel's policies in regards to building in the settlements and relations with the Palestinians. The son of an Israeli terror victim addressed the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva this week, urging them to condemn the Palestinian Authority's policy of paying stipends to Palestinian terrorists and their families. Avni Lakyn, Avni's father, American-born Richard Lakyn, was murdered in a terror attack in Jerusalem in October of 2015. Avni addressed the council back in 2016, calling on them to condemn his father's murder, and said this past Monday that their silence on the terror attack makes them an accomplice.
Turning a blind eye while United Nations funds and your state's funds are funneled through the PA to pay for the murder of innocents is unconscionable. Your failure to report and condemn these crimes makes you an accessory to the murder of my father and to the murder of many other Jewish fathers, mothers, and children the Palestinians pay to slay. I call upon this Council and upon all UN members to stop funding to the Palestinian Authority until the Palestinians stop the murderous practice of rewarding terrorists for killing Jews.
Israel's Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman is in Africa this week. On Monday, Lieberman made a historic visit to Rwanda and met with President Paul Kagame, making him the first Israeli defense chief to visit the country. Lieberman will also be spending time in Tanzania and Zambia on this four-day trip. France said it would lead an investigation against an employee of the French consulate in Israel suspected of being part of a weapons smuggling ring. As we reported to you on Monday, Romain Frank was indicted on charges that he smuggled dozens of guns from Gaza into the West Bank using a diplomatic vehicle. Later, the French embassy said that French Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian, who is set to visit Israel next week, called for an investigation. Well, 77 classic cars left Tel Aviv yesterday morning for the Holy Land 2018, a 5-day journey across Israel, taking the cars and drivers along scenic routes and making stops with various events for the viewing public. The cars and drivers come from across the globe, from countries including Germany, Switzerland, Norway, the U.S., and Ecuador. The trip is sponsored by the Mediterranean Car Association, whose CEO, Uri Lahav, said, "We are proud to be an important part of an event that is historic, meaningful, and patriotic, an event," he said, "that connects people from all over the world and brings them to a country with a strong heritage." Israel's Magen David Adom, which provides ambulance, first aid, and blood donor services across Israel, is once again collecting tens of thousands of food parcels to be given out to those Israelis in need ahead of Passover. Donors provided the funds for these packages, which will be distributed to the needy in time for the holiday. And donors are also dropping off kosher for Passover items at entrances to supermarkets across Israel. That's through March the 29th. And taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS. At 7 o'clock, it's From the Aleph Bet. At 7:30, a discussion on racial justice from the Union for Reform Judaism. At 8, members of Israel Aid talk about their humanitarian work and the refugee crisis. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with author Tuvia Tenenbaum, who talks about his personal encounter with Syrian refugees in Germany, which he writes about in his new book, Hello, Refugees. At 10, we hear from New York Times columnist Nicholas Kristof kickoff at the URJ. And coming up right after this newscast tonight at 6:30, it's Thinking Out Loud with Micah Halpern. And that's the JBS News Update for Wednesday, March the 21st, 2018. I'm Teisha Bader.